Hi, I'm Kimmy with On William Street, and we are here to help you become a more confident quilter, from the piecing to the quilting and everything in between. So this week we are working on month 8 of our annual quilt-along. So if you are new here, don't forget all the information that we're going to talk about today, you can find in our blog post. So you'll see the link below the video, so you can head over there, get all the information, printouts, graphics, all the things that you'll need to go over to help you be more successful. Also, this year we are doing a quilt as you go. So each month we are quilting a block and then putting them together after they've been quilted. So it's a great way to really practice those free motion quilting skills and get comfortable with that before you move on to bigger projects. We are almost halfway through, so we are over halfway through. So we're gonna start kind of combining designs and making things a little more exciting, I guess in my mind, a little more quilting involved as we have been practicing and getting better so that we can continue to up those free motion quilting skills. So I hope that you'll enjoy the designs I'm coming up with for these last few blocks. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out and let us know. We want to help you be successful. So while you are over on the blog getting all the information, don't forget to stop by and check out our shop and find your next modern quilting project. So here we have block 7, and block 7 is the one, it's going to be the third row down in the middle. Like I said, we're going to really start combining what we've learned and kind of stepping it up just a little bit for these last few blocks so that we can really continue to improve our skills and not just stay comfortable. We want to push ourselves a little bit so that we can get better. We've really learned most of the motifs that I use regularly in many of our quilts. So you can take these designs and you can mix them up in a lot of different ways. So we're going to kind of start doing that a little bit more. So let's go ahead and zoom in on this quilting plan and walk through it. All right, so what we have here, you can see a lot of these ribbon candies, and these ribbon candies are great border design, as you can see, but I've gone ahead and created borders. I'm not going to use what's there. We're going to create a lot of borders here and really practice those ribbon candies to fill it all in and add a lot of texture and a lot of dimension. As you can see, I've also got these blank spaces, and these blank spaces, when you're deciding how to quilt things, are just as important as the quilted portion itself. It really helps to create definition between the designs and to give your eye somewhere to rest so it's not too busy. So we're going to start here in the middle, and we're going to go ahead and do our little designs first. So we're going to go, it's not down the center, but we're going to go up the side and create the little diamond shape, and then just repeat it on the inside. Then we'll do this one, and then do the final one. Here at this point, I'm going to go ahead and break thread. There's no way for me to really connect this to a border anywhere. So we're going to break thread and come out to the side, and then we'll work on the little side border sections. I am going to be marking these borders. I want these to line up. I want things to stay even. So we're going to be marking those out. So don't worry about trying to eyeball it. So we're just going to go out a little bit, come down, and do the outside first. Then I will fill in with the ribbon candy. Go up over. I'm going to come into the inside first again, do the inside out, quilt the outside one, fill in with ribbon candy. And you can see that kind of places me in nice places to move from section to section. Quilt the inside, outside, ribbon candy, inside, outside, ribbon candy. So now we're back here. At this point, I am going to use the seams to go out, over, and then we're just ready to do the exact same thing on the outer triangles, or the outer square. Inside, outside, ribbon candies. Come over here, inside, outside, ribbon candies, inside, outside, ribbon candies, one more inside, outside, ribbon candies, and that's going to put us here, which then takes us over to our diamonds here. And I'm going to kind of be doing the diamonds with the borders this time. I don't always, but this time there's not really like a clear path to move through those. So we're going to come over here and we're going to quilt all of these shapes, and we're just going to be doing eyeballing it, keeping an eye on the distance from the edges and stuff, and just kind of making it fit. So we're just gonna, I'm not gonna worry about marking these. We're just gonna do a lot of eyeballing, and I'll show you how to quilt those. Then we will quilt the ribbon candy, which will get us to here, quilt this one. Then we're gonna come back, quilt these two pieces over along the side. Then we can do the outside, the inside, the outside, and then the ribbon candy, which puts us here really easy to go inside, outside, ribbon candy. And you'll notice because these are all odd number of motifs, 1, 2, 3, it's always going to end us on the opposite side, which is really easy for moving around. Come up here, do this triangle, ribbon candy across, this triangle, down, do our little triangle, and then same thing, inside, outside, ribbon candy. Move our way around, inside, outside, ribbon candy. So while there's a lot, it seems like there's a lot going on, the moving around the block is really quite simple here and really has a very natural flow in how we're going to move around that. So then we'll just finish out the last 2 corners and be done with this block. So let's grab it and get it all marked out. The biggest thing to keep in mind when we're marking this, let me pull this back up so you can see what we're marking, is on this outside, remember we have a 1/4 inch seam, so we don't want to mark too far in. So I'm going to go in 1/2 inch from the outside. That's going to give me the 1/4 inch seam, then another 1/4 inch before the mark. And I'm just going to draw a line straight across the whole block. And I'm just using my trusty butter knife trick. Come over here, do the same thing all the way down and continue around. For the inside one, I'm just going to keep it fairly close. I think I messed that one up. All right, if you're going to do 1/2 inch though, make sure you do 1/2 inch on all sides. I did 3/4 on that one. Let's bring that back in. I want it to be fairly close to the edge, but not all the way to the edge. That's why I'm doing the 1/2 inch. So then on the inside ones, I'm just going to mark it just inside that line. I don't want it on the seam because I want it to show, but we're just going to mark our line just over that line a little bit. And that's going to give us a really nice sized border to use. And you can see I am just going across the triangles because I want to make sure that that line lines up across that middle section. And then we'll do the same thing in here. And I'll probably just go like 1/4 inch from both sides. Remember though, we are not quilting across this triangle. We're going to stop at this edge here because this one is going to have its own. So in here, to mark the inside one, I'm going to go 1/4 inch, probably want 1/2 inch. We're going to go 1/2 inch in so that we have a little bit more. And I'm not going to cut across this time. So I'm just going to line it up 1/2 inch out from that middle triangle. And that's going to give me enough that you can actually see it without it being too tiny. One more. And then the last one to mark is just the inside. We're going to do the same thing. I'm going to go 1/4 inch in from this edge. And then from in here, I don't have anything to line up with in here. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick a number, and you might only have about 1/2 inch in here. It's going to look like I have a little bit more, and that's because my blocks are actually a little bit bigger. We did them a little bit bigger so you can really see what we're doing. But we did yours a little bit smaller when we put the pattern together to save on backing fabric to make sure that it was easy to do. So I'm going to do 3/4 inch, but you might only have 1/2 inch to do on that border when you're marking that out. If you have the full 3/4 inch and just have a smaller section in here, that's totally fine. So now you can see we've got all of our borders marked and we're ready to start quilting. So now we are all set up and ready to sew. So I've gone ahead and dropped my needle in, and I've already pulled out that back thread. So we are ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out here, and I'm aiming for about just to the side of the halfway point. So if you were to draw a line out here to halfway, I want to aim just this side of it a little bit. And then we're going to go about the width of my foot is what I'm going to use along the edge here, down here to just before halfway and back in. Then from there, we can just put the one on the inside and just make it a little bit smaller. And that first little motif is done. We're ready to turn it and do the next one. We're going to flip it around, do the next one. And then from here, after I get all those done, I'm going to go ahead and pick up my needle, pull out the thread a little bit, and we're going to go down and up, pull that bobbin thread to the back again, from the back to the front, clip it off, and now we're ready to move out to the outer section. Make sure that those threads stay on the inside so they're not in the way. So now I'm just going to go ahead and put it down on any one of these inside sections. It doesn't matter. And just pull that back thread up. Take my couple of little stitches. And now we're ready to go. So I'm just going to go along this edge, down the outside edge, and then do a ribbon candy in the middle. Now from here, we're going to go along the edge and work our way over to the next triangle. Remember, we're going to go inside first. From there, I'm just going to go ahead and finish out the center block. All right, so now I've finished the inner block and I'm ready to go to the outer block. So I'm just going to go along the edge and then I'm just going to use that seam to get out to the outside triangle. So same thing, we're going to do the inside, the outside, and then fill it in. But I'm going to stop here. I'm not going to try to go all the way in to that border that I already quilted. So from here, stitch as close as you can to that seam line, and that will hide it. And then we're ready to do the outside one. And from here, again, we're just going to stitch right along that seam line to get to the next one. Then from there, I'll just go ahead and finish up that outer square. Right, now that I have finished that inside square, I'm gonna go ahead and go out to our outside corners. Remember, we're gonna kind of do the outside section all in one swoop. So I'm gonna go along the edge down to the center so that I can put that same inside motif in my outside triangles, but we're only gonna be doing half of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and just go along the edge, up to the halfway point and in. I'm only gonna double do the inside one. I'm not gonna worry about trying to double the outside one too. Now from here, I'm ready to go ahead and do the ribbon candies across the little board connecting bar. And then we'll go down to the center before we go out and do them on the other side. Now let's go grab the little triangle. And we're just doing two little half ones in here. And now we're ready to finish off that outside border. Inside, outside, fill it with ribbon candies. Now from here, we're going to go up along the side and then fill in our little border across this triangle section. Now, it's going to go back over to the next corner. Now that I'm in the center of that triangle, I'm going to repeat the same thing. Do the three diamond shapes in here, come across, do my ribbon candies, do my 3 diamond shapes in this triangle, come across, grab the 2 in here, and then fill in my ribbon candies around the border and just work my way around the corner. So if you need to see that again, go ahead and rewind a few minutes and watch that first corner and then repeat it to fill in all of your corners. And now we have block 7 done. We've practiced putting in some borders and creating shapes that aren't there. And that's really a great way to break up and quilt negative space, is to create shapes that aren't there and then to fill them in. And then you're not always trying to fill in all of the negative space. So we've really kind of done that in a lot of these spaces with these borders and really explored that some more. So as always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to answer those for you. You can find all the information in our blog post. You'll see the diagrams and everything there. So go check that out. And while you're at our while you're on our site, don't forget to check out our shop. And we will see you next time.